The rotors are already turning. The 4nd of April 2026, 1:27 local time, 58 nautical miles southwest of Bandar Abbas. The USS Tripoli sits dark. No running lights, no radio chatter, nothing broadcasting to the listening posts lining the Iranian coast. On the flight deck, 2 CH-53K King Stallions crouch like coiled fists, blades spinning at idle. The heavy lifters have been warm for 20 minutes. The assault element doesn't wait for silence. Silence is a luxury the Strait of Hormuz doesn't offer tonight. Staff Sergeant Delia Okafor clips her fast rope glove and checks the man beside her. 12 Recon Marines, 4 Mars operators, 1 objective. A compromised intelligence asset aboard a container vessel 3 miles inside the corridor container ship MV Crestfield, drifting without power since 2,300 hours, surrounded by waters that don't belong to anyone who wants to talk about it. The gray rotor shadow of Bird 1 lifts first nose low, climbing hard over the ship's island before banking northeast into total darkness, through her NVG overlay. The world is green and cold. The strait looks narrow from altitude. It is narrow, only 21 mi at its tightest end. Every inch of it tonight feels contested. Her earpiece clicks once, the pilot's voice flat and precise. Target vessel bearing 47, wind 15 knots, we're 8 out, 8 minutes below. The water moves fast, the Hormuz current pushes northeast at this hour. White chop visible even through the goggle feet. Bird 2 slots and 200 meters off, Bird 1's right flank, close enough that Okafor can make out the crew chief silhouetted in the door. The formation holds altitude low, threading the channel between the Iranian coastline's radar shadow and the Omani territorial boundary. No margin for drift, no margin for anything. At 6 minutes out, the first contact appears. A shadow breaks south low fast. No nav lights. Then 2 more fanning wide. The interceptors have been running dark too. Fast movers, 3 contacts, southern bearing. The pilot doesn't raise his voice. Evaluating. Okafor feels the bird bank slightly left. The Iranian patrol boat's Peykaap-class short range but quick air moving in a loose sweep pattern, not directly toward Bird 1. Not yet. But the gap between their track and the helicopter's approach corridor is shrinking, and the map isn't friendly. The MV Crestfield appears in the green lens at 4 miles. A long dark shape sitting low in the water, listing maybe 3 degrees to starboard, no lights aboard, no visible movement on deck. That's either very good or very bad. The asset is either sheltering or second cluster northern approach. Possible shore battery activation south of Keshum. There it is. The operators in the hold don't speak. They shift weight. One man double-checks his rappelling rig with slow, deliberate hands. Another rolls his neck. The MARSOC team leader, a captain named Reyes, catches Okafor's eye through the dim red interior light and gives her a single nod. She nods back. The Darkhold runners to the south are accelerating now, bearing down on a converging track with the Crestfield's position. Whether they've detected the helicopters or are simply completing a sweep pattern doesn't matter. The effect is the same. The window is closing. Bird 1 adjusting to direct approach, 2 minutes. A pause. Fast rope. Stand by. The crew chief slides the door back. Wind hits the hold like a fist. The Hormuz night smells like salt and diesel and something faintly chemical from the tanker lanes. They cross 3 mi back. Okafor is first on the road. Below the Crestfields for deck rushes up a gray rectangle in the goggle feed, moving, swaying with the current. 60 feet 40. The vessel's deck crew, if there is any, remains invisible. The ship's crane housing is her landmark. She's targeting the clear deck space just after it. 20 feet of altitude. The rope goes taut in her gloves. The bird is still moving. The boat is still moving. She drops. Impact knees bent, weight absorbed. 2 steps to clear the rope. The deck is wet. She's already moving left, making space for the man coming down behind her. 1, 2. The King Stallion holds its hover, rotors thundering, and the next operator hits the deck running. Somewhere to the south, an engine note rises above the wind high and insistent, cutting across the chop. The interceptors are close enough now to hear over the rotor wash. The fast rope team is 12 seconds into the insertion. 12 seconds in and the patrol boats are eating the distance. The last operator clears the rope. Bird 1 banks hard starboard and climbs pulling away, drawing attention, buying 30 seconds that may or may not exist. Okafor doesn't watch it go. She's moving. The Crestfield's main deck stretches 180 m, bowed astern a dark obstacle course of lashing rings, hatch covers, and stacked container frames. The Mars team splits left. Recon takes the center line. No flashlights. The NVG overlay paints everything in stuttering green shadows, jumping with every swell the vessel takes. The asset is supposed to be in the forward crew compartment, supposed to be breachport hatch. Raise his voice low. Then the sound of a hatch seal breaking a pneumatic pop swallowed by the wind. Inside the companionway, the geometry tightens. Single file, The overhead is low enough that the taller operators have to hunch. Their footfalls are controlled, but not silent steel deck, and there's nothing to be done about that. 4 compartments forward. The asset was told to signal with a blue chem light. So far, nothing blue. Second compartment, clear. Third compartment, a noise, a scrape. Okafor raises a fist. The column freezes. 3 seconds of stillness. Then a voice, hoarse and barely above a whisper in English. Code word Meridian. Behind a collapsed bunk frame wedged into a space that can't be comfortable is a man in his 50s. Civilian clothing, left arm braced against his chest. He's been there for hours. He doesn't ask where they came from. Stand up. We're moving. Okafor doesn't frame it as a request. He stands above them. Through the steel overhead, a new sound intrudes lower pitch than rotor wash, closer than it should be. The interceptors have pulled alongside. Not ramming, not yet, but close enough that the pressure wave off their bow wake rocks the Crestfield noticeably, and everyone in the compartment shifts their footing. Then Bird 2 arrives. The second King Stallion swings in from the north fast. Lower than a bird that size should reasonably fly, and the rotor downwash hammers the Crestfield superstructure like a physical blow. It's a distraction maneuver, a 30 Cs second-on commitment that burns fuel and altitude, and it works. The nearest patrol boat cuts its engine, drifting crew likely scanning upward. The thermal masking the flight crew trained for isn't perfect, but it's enough to create confusion. 30 seconds. Extraction point for deck. Move. They move. Reyes has the asset by the elbow. Not rough, but certain. The column pushes back through the companion way faster than they entered it. The Crestfield pitches into a trough and comes back up hard, and 2 operators grab bulkheads to stay upright before continuing forward. On deck, the situation has deteriorated visibly. 3 Darkhold runners now space between their hulls, and the container ship collapsed to less than 2 ship lengths. Their crews visible as pale shapes in the goggle feed. One vessel has a light source on its bow, a spotlight sweeping lazy arcs not locked on yet but probing. Bird 2 is still overhead holding hover. The crew chief already has the hoist extended, a steel cable dropping through the rotor wash, swinging with the wind basket configuration. The asset goes up first. Secure him. 60 seconds for the hoist cycle. The spotlight makes another lazy arc closer. This time, catching the white froth of Bird 2's downwash. If it locks, the nearest interceptor's engine note spikes. They've seen something. The hoist basket reaches the deck. The asset climbs in with help. Reyes clips the safety strap. The signal goes up. Hoist. The basket rises. 17 seconds, 14 seconds in. The spotlight finds the Crestfields for deck. It holds. The beam washes over 2 operators who go completely still training, nothing else, keeping their silhouettes flat against a container frame. The hoist keeps climbing. The basket reaches Bird 2's door. Hands pull the asset inside. The operators on deck are already rigging the rope again. The interceptor is accelerating bow rising as it surges forward, covering the distance between its position and the Crestfield's hull in the time it takes for to exhale and signal the next man to the rope. They're boarding, not them, the patrol boat crew. An attempt to come up the vessel's anchor chain. Last 2 now. Okafor clips in. The operator behind Haramar's sergeant named Quanis already on the rope. Bird tilts nose forward, beginning its egress turn. The rope goes taut, then slack, then taut again as the helicopter angles away. The spotlight is still holding the deck, and somewhere below something metallic strikes steal the sound of a grappling hook finding purchase. Bird 2 clears the Crestfield superstructure at 40 FT and climbs hard. Okafor doesn't breathe until the deck disappears below her. Then she's in the door, hands pulling her in, and the Hormuz's night is behind her a black rectangle framed by the helicopter's open hatch. Salt air screaming through at 90 knots. She counts 11-12. Quan lands beside her and slumps against the bulkhead, chest heaving. The asset sits 3 feet away, strapped in, wrapped in a thermal blanket, someone pressed into his hands. He's staring at nothing. Whatever he know, whatever required, this hasn't left his face. The pilot's voice. All stations. Extraction complete. Egressing south-southwest. Bird 1 is information. 40 minutes later, the ARG flagship's deck catches them both. The King Stallions touch down within seconds of each other. The rotors slow. Deck crew moving fast, chalking wheels, crouching against the wash. On the hangar island, a Navy intelligence officer is already moving toward the asset with a blanket and what looks like a thermos. Nobody is smiling. Not yet. By 340, a brief official statement is cleared for release. U.S. forces conducted a non-combatant evacuation operation in international waters. All personnel are accounted for. One sentence, it says almost nothing. By 60-0, the Crestfield is still adrift. No. Power restored. No crew visible on deck. 2 Iranian Coast Guard vessels are circling it at a distance, making no move to board. They didn't board last night either. The grappling hook found the anchor chain, but the patrol boat crew hesitated, and by the time they committed, the heavy lifters were already clear. That hesitation will be analyzed in Thrawn. It will be analyzed in Washington. The 11 seconds it represents will appear in briefings with diagrams and timestamps. The 15th MEU's Amphibious Ready Group holds position 30 MI southwest of the strait, not retreating, not advancing, a gray formation of pulse that says, without saying anything, we can do this again. In the forward compartment of the flagship's intelligence processing space, the asset is on his third cup of coffee and his second hour of debriefing. The questions are patient. The team has been trained to wait. Whatever compressed into that compromised vessel over the last 12 hours is coming out methodically, piece by piece, and some of those pieces are already moving up the chain via encrypted link. But not all of them are pieces anyone expected. In the operations center, a watch officer circles something on a tablet, passes it to the senior officer. He reads it once, reads it again. His expression doesn't change, but he sets the tablet down carefully, the way you set something down when you don't want your hands to betray anything. What the asset carried out of that vessel isn't just intelligence about one location, one timeline, one threat. It's a coordination pattern, multiple nodes, multiple assets. Something that was building quietly for weeks before a power failure on a drifting container ship forced one man to make a phone call he wasn't supposed to make. Outside the Hormuz corridor is technically open. Tankers are moving. The pre-dawn shipping traffic that paused for 2 hours around 2000 has resumed. Giant vessels threading the narrow waters with their running lights blazing, indifferent and enormous, carrying a third of the world's oil through 21 mi of contested sea. But one of those vessels is moving on a heading that doesn't match its filed route. The watch officer is already reaching for the radio. The gray formation to the southwest is already turning.